Buttery vanilla cake layers, not too sweet cream cheese filling, and lightly spiced pumpkin buttercream frosting. Oh, this cake is so good. And I can't wait to show you how to make these buttercream pumpkins. This cake is easy to make with just 2 quick recipes. The spiced vanilla cake starts with butter and sugar creamed together, plus eggs, all at room temperature so that they mix together easily. Add vanilla for richness, buttermilk and oil to make it really moist, and then flour, pumpkin pie spice or cinnamon, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. All of the quantities are in the recipe on BritishGirlBakes.com in measuring cups and also in grams. Divide the batter between 3 8-inch pans, or you can use just 2. Bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit or 160 degrees Celsius for 35 minutes until the cake bounces back up when you poke it. And let these layers cool. Then trim off any domed tops with a serrated knife, like a bread knife, which gives you some cake scraps to sample. Look how soft this cake is. It's so buttery, and the pumpkin spice flavor makes it taste extra rich. For the filling and frosting, start with my 4-minute buttercream, which is just butter, icing sugar or powdered sugar, vanilla, and salt. Normally you'd add milk to this, but don't do that for this cake. Mix for 4 minutes and it will be quite thick or stiff, which is perfect because next, scoop out 1 cup and add 2 tablespoons of cream cheese at room temperature. Stir it together and it will get looser or runnier, which is why you skip the milk for this recipe. You don't want it to be too runny. Spread a bit onto the middle of a cake board or plate and press your first vanilla cake layer down onto it. Cover it with half of the cream cheese buttercream, spreading it with an offset spatula or you can use a spoon, and then position the next cake layer on top. Another layer of cream cheese buttercream, and then the final cake layer. Now, very important, put this into the fridge for 30 minutes or the freezer for 15 minutes to set the filling while you make the frosting by adding 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree to the rest of the buttercream and 1/8 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Or you can make your own with cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, cloves, and allspice, or if you can't find those, just use cinnamon. Take your cake out of the fridge or freezer and spoon about half of the buttercream on top, spreading it to cover the top of the cake and pushing it over the edges. For the top, hold your offset spatula or palette knife at a 45-degree angle and spin the cake to smooth the frosting. For the sides, spread the frosting by moving your offset spatula or palette knife from side to completely cover the cake so there's no naked cake showing through. This is a crumb coat, the first layer of frosting to trap any crumbs that come off the cake. It's much easier to do this when the cake is cold, like it is here, rather than at room temperature when it's much more crumbly. It doesn't need to be perfect, because next, put the cake back into the fridge for another 30 minutes or the freezer for 15 minutes to set this frosting. Cover the pumpkin spice buttercream while you're not using it, so it doesn't dry out and crust, and then when the crumb coat has set, use the rest of the buttercream to cover the cake in a final coat of frosting. Smoothing it the same way, but there are so many ways you can jazz this up with easy textures. Use the back of a spoon pressed against the cake and drag it sideways and slowly upwards to make these rustic grooves. Or curve the spoon around with little arc motions to make this gorgeous texture. Or start at the bottom and drag the spoon gently upwards all around the cake to make these pretty swooshes. These rustic textures are great because nothing needs to be super neat. Add a drop of orange colouring to the leftover pumpkin buttercream and make some pretty piped pumpkins with a piping bag and star-shaped piping tip. This is a number 32 and a number 18. Pipe 2 curves, which will be the outer edges of your pumpkin, and then work your way in with smaller curves. And by piping the lines in this order, you'll make the pumpkin appear more rounded. Try different sizes of pumpkins and you can experiment with different piping tips too. To make pumpkins for the top of the cake, squeeze out a little blob and then pipe the curved lines around the blob. For the stems, or stalks, squeeze out any buttercream left in the piping bag and add brown colouring, or you can add melted chocolate instead. Switch to a piping bag with a small round piping tip or a very small star-shaped tip, like this, a number 16, and pipe little lines going up from each pumpkin. You can keep this cake in the fridge for 1 or 2 days, but take it out 2 hours before you serve it, so the cake and buttercream come to room temperature, and that's when they taste the best. If you have any leftovers, cover the cut sides of the cake with cling film or saran wrap so they don't dry out. Tell me in the comments if you're going to make this cake, and you'll find this and all of my other recipes and tutorials on BritishGirlBakes.com, along with my cake school where you'll learn hundreds of cake decorating techniques and designs. See you there!